Is 7017.
That's me. I'm dialing in by phone. I'm out on the road.
Okay, so Nate and Dale are on by phone, and then we have on video we have Nan, Scott, Karen, 7017, right? And Laura will do this shortly. We
Okay.
good? Kevin?
We're on.
Is
Yeah.
Dale on by phone too?
Dale's on by phone, so Dale and Nate both by phone. Okay,
Better to
welcome.
be heard, better to be heard than seen.
Well,
And it's
welcome.
better to be seen than viewed.
Yes. And it's better to be healthy than sick.
Any more?
Okay, so welcome. It's been 5 or 6 months since we met last, and did you have a chance to review the minutes from May that Nan provided? And are there any comments for additional changes? If not, I will accept a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move that we accept the minutes.
Motion by Scott. Any second?
I'll second.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, I had asked Camden last week to, with prolonged COVID challenges, what this does to those projects that we funded, formal programs, different events. So what was going to happen with the funds they received? Were they going to bank those? Were they planning to still use those? And so I asked them to reach out to the recipients to find out. And so, Camden, if you go through the report that you sent to us, you may have had others that gave you stuff since what you sent out today, but I'm referring to the email that Camden sent out dated this morning. So review that for Cam, go through that with us.
Yeah, it would be helpful just to maybe start the email.
If do they all have an email? Yeah, show it to us. That'd be good.
yeah, I have the email.
Okay, Dale's got it up, but Camden's sharing his screen so we can see that.
So this was what was sent. To reiterate, I mean, there are definitely been some impacts due to COVID on some of these performances. Timberwolf Symphony Orchestra was not able to host theirs. The Wasatch Contemporary Dance has in addition to just the COVID, they have some Northampton houses working out some issues too. They're sorry, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you haven't spent any of the funds. That's right. Yeah, and then the space didn't become available as it closed down for a time. Friends of the Library, they're moving as needed. The Harrington has done a lot. Concerts in the park, that just we weren't doing any of those, so they didn't haven't done any. But the Chalk It Up, their Forks, their Walls, which I don't think that was funded this year. Those have all happened, and they're planning on for next year to accomplish the same things. The Fork Fest again has not been completed yet. And the concerts in the park, we'll have to just review that as a city and as a Chamber of Commerce to see if they're going to do that. There were some afterwards. I haven't actually had a chance to read the Timberwolf Arts Foundations. You can pull that up. I know the Alpine Community Theater is planning on having their events. They're going to be reserved. They're trying to reserve a space at the school district, and they're just going to have less seating available to maintain 6 feet separation. Everyone will wear masks, but they're still planning on moving forward with that. We're trying to work out reserving the space for them as a city. It's more complicated than I really thought, but they're still moving forward on theirs. And then the quilt, New Friends Quilt Circle, the building there has been shut down, so they haven't been able to do any of their programming recently. I know that they've purchased some equipment. They weren't even able to put it in until I think they've had permission to drop off the sewing machines recently, but I don't know if they've actually gone in there and done it yet. And then I haven't heard from the Daughters of the Utah Pioneer Museum people. And like I said, I received the Timberwolf Arts Foundation one, but I have not yet gone through it. So I can pull that up as well if we need to.
Yeah, pull up the TAF one and see what they said. Because they are the largest performance-based group.
Oh, let's see. Oh, there it is. In the COVID impact, it says COVID hit TAF hard March through June, but we were able to get some groups going again in July. It looks like the current spike in numbers could affect the Christmas events. We've been trying to be hyper vigilant in our efforts to comply with COVID requirements, which have varied from venue to venue. And we have been able to secure several CARES relief funding grants, which have been helpful with operational costs through the pandemic. And so you can see the different events and when they're planning on holding them. They have a lot. See scheduled in November and December.
So if they're unable to hold those events, then theory goes they should be able to bank those funds and not spend those, which begs the question, is the intent with the council is that if they do bank these funds, do we defer those to a future funding year and then consider next year's applications with them having this credit balance that they could use? What is the intent of the council in regards to this unusual environment?
Yeah, I don't think I can speak to the council on that because I don't know if you, the committee, or even the council considered if there'd be a year two rollover, what that would look like. But I definitely think that's a consideration. I would assume that they would not defer, but they would appreciate input from the committee on how they think that should be utilized. But if they have full funding for these things, I mean, it makes sense that if it can roll over, then the funds that we're considering for next year could be allocated elsewhere.
What are the thoughts among the committee?
Yeah, I think they should be rolled over to the next year. It's no fault of their own. They've had events planned. I'd like to see them be able to do them even if it's later, so.
I agree with that.
I,
Oh, Laurel, you're here.
I also,
Can those rollover funds be included in their application, so we know what is being rolled over and what the new that they're asking for?
Yeah, we ought to include change the application so that if they have a rollover amount, that's
Yes.
be figured in. Is there any dissent or concern with doing that? I mean, what this allows us to do maybe is, I think Camden sent to the group what the estimate is for this next year's funding, and it's pretty generous. I was surprised by the amount. It was like 1.3 million.
Yeah, 1.32, I think.
So if we have 1.32 plus if they will have rolled over a bunch, we could conceivably have a lot more that could be used in the next funding year for different projects. So that you have a lackluster year such as this one, it could spill over into 2021, 2022. That's a possibility.
Which would be nice if we
like-
can fund other
Funding
projects,
they needed.
you know.
Talia had something.
I don't really have concern about rolling them over. I think it makes sense. It seems like as we were allocating funding, we already had some early COVID things and some things delayed. And so as part of what we allocated to who, we kind of talked about what they hadn't used from the prior funding year. And we kind of took that into account as we allocated this current year's funding now. So I assume that we'll probably do something of the same thing next round, where if they put on there how much rollover funds they have, then we'll be able to take that into account as we consider what we fund in the next round. Is that fair to say?
I think it is. I think
Yes.
we need to know what's rollover and what new that they're asking for.
Yep.
Right. I don't think we should count the rollover and just say, okay, we have them out of the way.
Yeah.
I think we should roll over and then help them additionally.
Yeah, I think what I was kind of meaning is, say they got typically around 500,000, that they don't necessarily get 1 million the next year, but we take that into account and maybe they get more, but it might not be double for everybody because maybe there's some new needs or some one-time things or things like that that we have the opportunity to kind of bless everybody.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. There might be some other projects that we really have had to pass up because of lack of funding, and we might be able to now expand our funding to some other worthy projects.
Yeah, we can do my outdoor exercise equipment. There we go.
There you go.
Well, but we joke, but that might be an example of something like that we say
Right.
normally we wouldn't, but maybe we're able to.
Mhm.
I have a question for
Exactly.
Camden.
Yeah.
Camden, in your email update, you mentioned on the library project that the city's working on the design RFP for the children's room. That feels like we're at the same point as we were like a year ago. Is there just kind of nothing happening, or is there actually more progress than what that sounded like?
Not much has happened. I mean, that's been on the library director and myself. We're not experts in the RFP design process, so we were looking for a template, and we've just kind of set it aside as a lot of other COVID stuff has kind of taken place and other projects. But she's been working on it for the past month or so, and I think we need to go to Public Works or something, have them review it to see if it's okay, if it meets all this whatever guidelines or criteria.
I would definitely get some help there because like the library director is not going to know anything about a design RFP. Right?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert myself either. So she's putting in the basic stuff. I mean, she did some initial legwork, just entering that in, and she can turn over to me, and then I was going to work with our engineers and stuff at Public Works who are more familiar with that to see if I can borrow some of their time and expertise in getting that finalized. I think part of it is too, I just want to remind you that it wasn't until February or so that we actually got kind of the green light to even go down this road. I know it was approved earlier than that, but the condition of council is that nothing could happen until council got a kind of a projection pro forma for the library into the future. And so the first 7 months or so we were working on that.
Scott, could I prevail upon you you live in the world of RFPs and have for the bulk of your career, you're very familiar with those. Could you render some assistance to Camden to make sure that the RFP is structured the way we want it to be structured? Could you look at that and be his review and say, okay, I mean, you've seen good ones and bad ones.
I could call upon some resources. I mean, my world is not vertical buildings. It's more, civil infrastructure. With that said, we interact with lots of engineers and architects and things, and I could probably call in, a favor from somebody and say, hey, give me a template or something like that. I'd be happy to do that.
We
try and help Cassandra as well. I'm familiar with RFPs. Maybe I can get a template from my old job too. And I know Nate would be very familiar with them as well.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, and I can call Cassandra and see if she wants me to come in and help her. Like I said, I could maybe find a template for the engineering portion and things like that from MAG, if you want.
Maybe we grabbed a template. We talked to Public Works and grabbed a template for our fire station that we recently did, and so we're repurposing that one. That one's probably far more expansive than what we need, and so we're hoping we have all the bases covered there, and we just need to scope it down to our project.
Yeah, because the
MAG would have been for studies and things like that. So it would be along the line of studying or figuring out the engineering and the design. You could put all in one RFP.
Well, I'd say the one on the fire station probably has the right kind of commercial terms and all of that, and it's the scope of work that would be, somewhat different, but it'd be certainly a place to start. And I'd offer the same as Nan did. I'd be happy to come sit down and go through that.
Yeah, that'd be good. I appreciate that. Let me get with Cassandra and see where she's at. Then I was going to get some eyes on it, and then I think after that we can expand it out, get you guys involved if you're willing, and talk to our Public Works to have them review it.
And Nate, could I get you to, in the slide deck we'll talk about in a little bit, we need to put some explanation about how these rollover funds may work. You know, this will be an unusual year where people are coming in to apply, have rollover funds, and how those will be considered in the new application process.
Absolutely. That's, I think it'd be a very clarifying statement if we can say, okay, all you peoples, the application is going to be altered so you can include programs that did not happen and the funds that are rolling over from those programs and what you're going to do with them as a separate box to check inside the application. Yeah, we can add something that would be very simple to that slide deck.
Okay.
Not a problem.
And Camden, is the city council looking for some proposal from this group to say, here's how we think we should treat carryover funds? Or are they saying, wait till the next year's application process and then just make a recommendation with the new funding requests? What are they looking for from us?
I haven't had that specific conversation with them, so I don't want to speak for them directly. I would expect that they would want you to kind of make that recommendation along with everything else. It might be good to kind of give them a heads up of what you're planning on doing with those funds, so they have a chance to mull it over, and maybe from there, maybe if you were to reach out to Clark, or if one of us can reach out to Clark after this meeting and kind of say what we're planning on doing or what the committee would like to do, then he can take that and have that conversation with the rest of the council, and they can decide, okay, great, we'll wait until the committee, you know, gives a recommendation and includes a rollover, or maybe they'll say, you know, oh no, we want to discuss the rollover ahead of time, and they can figure it out from there.
Okay. And Nan,
I'd be happy to reach out to Clark on that if you want.
Nate, now if you put Nate down as the one who reached out to Clark, that'd be great. Thanks, Nate. Any other comments about these emails and the updates on the current year projects? If not, let's shift gears. And Nate, if you want to see, can you
One
share?
question, Camden, can you send me a copy of that email forward the email from TAF?
I
So I
will.
can include it in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And then Camden, will you share your the slides? And then if Nate, you want to take us through and have the group comment on any changes from last year. We're always looking to improve on our workshop. And is there something that we missed or we could do better this next time? What is the thoughts from the group as you've gone through the slide deck?
What did we see in our application process this year that we'd like to refine? That was the question I wanted to ask everybody and get your thoughts on if there's something that we could glean from our applications that we want to see differently, that we want to see more of something, less of something, that we could add some explanation or background to the slides. What do you all think?
One comment, and that would be to continue to encourage them to send all of their application as PDF documents. If you could just continue to repeat that so they don't forget, and I end up getting all kinds of documents that don't make any sense that I can't do anything with when I get ready to make the books and that. So if you could just kind of refresh their minds or whatever, that we need to have everything done as a PDF.
And Nate,
Can do. That's easy.
Older applicants that may not understand what a PDF means. They may think, well, I'm just sending you a spreadsheet or something, but you have to explain what a PDF document is and how you can get there from a Word document or from a spreadsheet, how you convert that, but they may not understand what a PDF designates or means.
The attachments that need to come in as PDFs.
Yeah.
Some of them, most people have capabilities of saving something as a PDF document. So,
But some of them don't know how.
Yeah, that's the.
they could maybe get in touch with one of us to find out how to go about doing it, because it's not that difficult. It's a save as PDF. But I can, if you want, I can always, they can leave my name or something and they can call me and I can walk them through it. But it does make things so much easier that way than getting a conglomerate of all kinds of files that I can't open And there have been a few times that I've not been able to open some files. So
So maybe in the application process, you put that as Nan's info, her phone number, if they have any questions on how to make that into a PDF document or whatever. Maybe you can include her digits on that, so they know who to contact.
Well, you know my feelings on this. If I tend to take the more firm-handed approach of if it's not a PDF, it doesn't get reviewed. But I know the council reserves the right to decide on who gets reviewed and who doesn't. But I can add that. We can add ourselves as references. I think that's a good idea. We can be as helpful as we can.
Yeah, make sure they know it's essential, and then we'll give them ways to get there. I think that's
right. That way we're making it as easy as possible for them to do the right thing.
Think about the reality is that the workshop is likely going to be virtual. So this is going to be a different format. We're going to be probably doing this virtually. I would imagine that I don't see things improving by January 30th. So this will likely be a virtual format. So how does that change the nature of what we're trying to do if it's virtual?
I don't see it changing it that much because we're just mainly going through the slideshow. Nate can talk them through the slideshow, and then we can all stay after. They can answer questions until they're done. It just won't be individuals answering those.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karen.
I think the slideshow is excellent for what he put together last year. I think it's pretty clear and organized really well. I think just adding a few of those things that we mentioned as far as contact people if they need help and put into a PDF document, make that more clear on the application possibly. But otherwise, I think the application process and what Nate has done is excellent.
I agree. Nate's done a great job on these application slide decks.
I do have one question for you guys on this. As it relates to the photos and what we get from our previous projects, would there be a way, Camden, that we could get those photos as quickly as possible so we're not running around at H hour trying to gather up all the information? It'd be nice to start getting those now from all these programs, and then we can put them in an orderly fashion instead of the last minute.
Yeah. I'll send a request and give it a deadline. Often we have to follow up with them after that and see if we can get them. But I can do that tonight even and send it out.
And looking at the calendar for next year, we've got, this was on was it a Wednesday night last year?
It was a Thursday.
So
January 30th was a Thursday.
That's the 28th, and next year, that would be Thursday the 28th. That's the same timing we want to do it. Does that work for you, Nate?
I think so. We can make it work, especially if it's virtual, but we'll make it work one way or the other. I like having it on a Thursday, and I think the timing was okay. I think people are getting used to the schedule we have now. So I see no problem with carrying on with that tradition of a Thursday last week of January.
The only problem is that if Nate's sitting in Arizona and we're dealing with some blizzard here in Utah, is that fair that he's doing this from such a warm climate?
Maybe since
you have to remember, I pay for it all summer. I pay for the grief and heartache all summer.
No, well said. Other comments about the workshop?
All right, just really quick, 7 p.m. Is that what we typically do?
So the 21st or the 28th of January?
28th.
28th?
7 p.m.
I have another comment, Brian.
Oh, good, Scott.
And I admit I didn't look through the slide deck, so maybe this is in there, but I've found it helpful for those organizations that are submitting multiple requests, probably most particularly the city and TAF, to prioritize those for us. We always end up asking for that anyway, and I can't remember if we asked for that up front last time or if we kind of had to go back to them.
I think that's a great idea. Just put that as a part of the application. If you're applying for more than one project, please prioritize which is your first priority, second priority, third priority. And that way we just have it.
I agree. That's awesome. I think that's a great idea.
Being
That
in
we
the
can
slums
add that
last
to
year,
the,
so.
Oh, sorry, Nan.
That's okay. I don't remember it being there, but I
We can
think
add
it's
it
a
to the
great
slide
idea
deck.
too, so.
Yeah. Do you want to add it to the application as well? So they have to fill it out on the application?
Yes. I think that would be great.
I think especially since we're doing it virtually and we're not able to maybe do as much discussion in person, having it set as their priorities would be helpful.
Well, and as we set up our amounts of money, we're not saying, well, I wonder which one he wanted
Yeah.
it to be,
Exactly.
Nate, on the, not Nate, but Camden, on the timeline, last year it was April 27th where we made a recommendation to the council. Do you have a date when they want that this spring? So we can work backwards from that.
Yeah, April is always the preferred time, and it's always the second council meeting in April. So this would be a work set. So it'd be the 27th of April.
Same one again. Okay, so I will use the same schedule basically. We can just drop this since it does have.
Well, sorry,
Yeah,
it's work session that we present.
don't we do, that's what I was going to say. Don't we usually present it at a work session?
So it'd be the 20th. So
The
if it's work session 20th.
I'll
at
revise back up from the 20th then. I will change that and give that to Nate as well. And also comment on the last slide. We always go for questions. That's going to be even more important now because we're not in person and oftentimes after the meeting breaks up, they'll corner a person or two and talk about the questions they didn't ask in front of the group. And so this is really going to be, they've got to ask any questions they have because we're not able to do it as personally as we did before. So you may want to first meeting ask them as a formula questions throughout the presentation, Nate. Say, as you have questions, please save them and ask them then because that may be your only chance to get us captive to ask those questions.
Great point.
Well, then they need to use the raise hand feature on Zoom so that we can make sure that we get everybody's question.
But then they have to lower the hand or it stays up all the time, right?
I tested you all a few minutes ago and raised my hand and nobody noticed. So
Nobody
that's my
noticed.
observation.
That might be a problem. That might be a problem because we're not going to be able to see everybody.
Well, but if they're a participant in the participant list, if they do the raise hand,
Pull
it
them up.
shows it by their name. Yeah.
I saw it, Scott. I didn't know if that was an accident. I wasn't going to interrupt to call it out. So it's
Not on my
didn't even
screen, Scott,
notice.
so sorry.
That's okay.
Couldn't we also, at the question period, it say, if you have additional questions, you can email your question and it'll be answered?
Yeah. Yeah, they can email during the presentation anytime they want to. We can just bank those and Camden can throw those back to the committee at the conclusion.
yeah, they can. I mean, you can give my contact information, and so if they have questions, unless you want to provide your own, but if they have questions, they can send them to me. I can try and field what I know and send it to you guys. Otherwise,
Or the live chat feature during the Zoom. If they're on Zoom, they can do the live chat there. Same thing.
oh yeah, in the meeting, yes. I mean, they can just ask them. We can get fancy, but really, once we get to question time, we can say, are there any questions? And I feel like people will be respectful enough to let them go one at a time. I just meant like afterwards, after the meeting, we can provide the contact information on this page and they can contact me after the meeting.
Nate, any more questions or of the group that you have for us?
No, No, I just thinking though, what we're talking about here, it might not hurt as we start out, if we do end up doing virtually like we think we will, perhaps we do a little bit of protocol / housekeeping at the first of the meeting and lay out how the meeting will be organized. Just like you said, Brian, hey, hold your questions. Please use the comment feature. And then during the meeting, we'll have one of us that'll be specifically responsible to field those questions, and they can be read aloud, something like that. So
Sure.
that might be a little easier.
Good idea.
Good idea.
As to when
That's
we're going
all
to
I've got.
start accepting applications?
Say that again, Nan.
Did we decide what date we are going to start accepting applications?
Usually
I
it's
know the workshop is going to be the 28th of January. So what day are we going to start accepting
last year.
applications?
Last year we did that. Open application went the 24th of January. So we did it. Was that?
It's like the
I
next
think it
day
needs to be
usually
done
or
after
something.
the workshop.
That
Yeah,
it was
anytime.
the
We
day
normally
after.
do it immediately after.
Yep,
It's like a day or two after, as I recall last year.
it was.
It's like
Like
by those
February
dots,
1st
it's like-
makes sense.
Starting the question, opening up questions on February the 1st. That's,
No. Accepting applications beginning February 1st.
yeah, accepting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when it's going to be available for them to get the application off of the
Right.
website, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I would do it sooner because I've lost, now I'm shooting for the 20th, so I've lost a week from last year. And last year we opened it up on the 24th of January. So now I'm losing a week. So I can't, February 1st makes it too tight for me. So I think if we've got to do it like the day after the workshop, and then it'll still be pretty tight, but I've lost a week.
I don't see a reason not to just open it the next day. I mean, it's just kind of turning the thing on, right? Once they've gone to the
True.
workshop, it'd be nice for them. It's all fresh. The next day they start working on their application. And you give them, it seems like last year we gave them about a month or 4 weeks to get the application submitted.
Yep.
I agree with Scott. I don't see why we need to have them wait whenever they can do it right after.
Yeah, I'll update this timeline to the group before the slide. Any other questions for Nate or suggestions?
It seems like last year there were some questions about if they submit multiple and they have to keep entering all the information multiple times and things like that. And we told them, if you just type up your stuff in Word and then copy and paste it into the application, that's a lot easier. Hopefully those that did that still have it from last year, because that'll really streamline their process. But whether that suggestion can be worked into the presentation or the slides, or we just do that verbally, I think that was good advice last year for some of those that were kind of concerned about it being clunky to have to type stuff in multiple times for multiple projects.
We can add that in the suggestions or helpful hint category.
Mhm.
We have these links for the Word documents on all of them. So it's the form just in Word.
Okay.
There it is.
Any other questions or suggestions for Nate?
How long are we letting the application period last? When is it going to end?
I'll put together the timeline. So I'll have to put together the whole timeline. So let me just, I'll take this whole thing based upon that date that Nate gave me, the 20th of April, and I'm going to back up and recreate the timeline. So I'll give you all those dates.
Not yet then? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you all the entire timeline so you know exactly how this is structured. If there are no other suggestions for Nate, any other business we need to discuss as a board?
Can I mention
Good to-
something?
I don't have anything.
Camden?
Sorry to interrupt. I'll be real quick. One thing to consider, Linden, I came across one time Linden, who has a similar park tax thing. They did midway through a pamphlet, an informational pamphlet. And I grabbed a copy and I think I shared it with someone, so I got to track it down. But it was an idea maybe worth considering that with our administrative fee or something, we consider doing a pamphlet that updates everyone on the project, but we mail it to every single resident. So they, again, it'll give them the length of time for the park program, what's been spent, what it's been spent on, and kind of the value. So it's kind of a way to just, it's like an informational one for them, but also kind of preps them for the upcoming renewal. So it's just a consideration if we wanted to do that.
Is that something you do more
Renewal.
at the end of this 8-year period? So maybe that second to the last year, do you do this when it's fresher in the minds, or even that last year, do you save it as you're trying to campaign for the renewal of PARC?
Yeah, I think that's the timing. I think we can discuss could be something worth considering. I think they did it midway. I think it's 2022 is when it's over. We should figure out exactly when that is. So whenever it is,
In
I think
2016.
might be good. Is that?
I have minutes back to 2016.
Yeah, 15 was the official first year. It was a partial year. 18,
Wasn't it a 10-year thing?
It was
8
8
years.
year.
8-year thing, okay.
23.
So maybe it's 23.
23 or 24.
We'll find out for sure. But I think it's a great idea that we do something like that. We've got to find a way to make sure that we're getting the visibility that was lacking when the survey information came back, and in some respects, the residents didn't know what PARC was, half of them or whatever the case may be. So we need to do a better job over the next couple of years at creating that visibility.
I agree. I think it's a great idea.
And in addition to that, we're gonna have all your vehicles should be wrapped in a PARC logo of some type. And so that's also visibility.
That'd be awesome.
If there's nothing else, then I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I move to
Second.
adjourn.
Hey, Dale, thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Okay,
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
thanks. Good to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Brian,
you.
are we
Thank
going to
you,
meet
Brian.
before the workshop in January?
Good. That's a good suggestion. Yes, we should let's do this same thing. Probably not the December meeting. We may just have to have that first one in January. That would be January what's the first Wednesday?
Sixth.
That is 6th. Is January 6th work for everybody if we met there just to kind of go over the fine tuning of our virtual presentation?
I think so.
Okay, let's do it. We'll see you in January then.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Catherine, did you record this? Have you been recording? Did we record this?
Yeah, I'm recording it. It's on the city's YouTube channel.
I just wanted to make sure.